Hi, and welcome to the Maestro Studio Ensemble Learning Series. I'm Albert from Stratison, and I will be your tour guide. In this module, you will learn how Maestro Studio Ensemble helps protect you from security vulnerabilities related to the use of the ARM API control in Azure Applications published on the Microsoft Marketplace. The ARM API control is a powerful UI element that enables and unlocks powerful experiences in your Azure application offers. However, with great power comes great responsibility, and we've noticed that some of Maestro Studio Ensemble's users have been able to figure out clever ways to do dangerous activities on an unsuspecting customer's subscription, without the customer noticing anything. The ARM API control executes its request as soon as you load the UI in the Azure portal. You don't even have to deploy the solution. You don't have to go beyond the Basics tab. Just load the UI and bam! Maestro Studio Ensemble can load any Azure application from the Microsoft Marketplace, and it analyzes it for ARM API control use. If it finds any, an alert is shown. This way you can avoid loading the offer from the marketplace without knowing what goes on behind the scenes. The Microsoft Marketplace does not have tools like Ensemble to help check and prevent malicious actors from publishing poisoned Azure applications. Ensemble is the only tool available today that allows a user to load an offer and assess its risk before it's too late. Let's take a look at 3 examples of real threat scenarios based on logs and telemetry from the free trial of Maestro Studio Ensemble. The first example shows how an Azure storage account can have its primary key rotated without you noticing. The second example shows how a VM in your subscription can be powered off, again without you noticing. The third example shows how any VM in your subscription can have a script downloaded and run on it without you knowing. These examples are only a small sample of many clever ways folks have been coming up with to do things that appear to cross the line. Stratison's end-user license agreement prohibits our customers from using Ensemble to publish malicious offers or build malicious Azure applications. Unfortunately, users who download the free trial can build things quickly before we notice, since our focus is primarily on supporting our paid edition customers. Ensemble's powerful productivity boost is a double-edged sword. Let's get the first example going. In this sample, we'll demonstrate how Ensemble was used to create an Azure application that enumerates all Azure storage accounts in the user's default Azure subscription as soon as the UI is loaded. It then picks the first account and regenerates its primary key. Any application using that key to authenticate will not be able to access the storage account anymore. Any shared access signature, or SAS, URL based on that key will no longer work. The impact is pretty disruptive and can bring down production systems if your default subscription is your production subscription. Notice the new key that is different from the old key, proving that it was silently generated. If we did not put a message that collects the result of the API call, we would not know. Let's move on to the second example. In this sample, we're going to see how a UI definition can enumerate all virtual machines in your default subscription, and then pick the first VM and power it off immediately. This is done using the skip shutdown parameter in the ARM requests URL path. Let's check the status of the only VM we have in this test subscription. We can see it's in the running state. Let's preview the UI. We'll wait a few seconds for the preview to finish rendering and for the ARM API requests to complete. We'll notice that the response status code is 202 because the power off operation is asynchronous. Notice how the VM was in the running state. And after refreshing its status, we can see it immediately stopped. Imagine this VM being one of your production servers. Not a pleasant scene. In the third example, we'll continue with the VM scenario, but this time, we'll attempt to run one or more commands on the VM we pick. While the commands we demonstrate are basic, we echo "Hello World" and curl an image from a remote website. We could have easily used the curl command to download a script and execute it on the VM. Let's run the preview. Let's also prepare the activity log so we can confirm that the ARM APIs have gone through. The activity log entries usually take a couple of minutes, so we'll fast forward the video to that point. Notice how the run command API is also asynchronous, resulting in a 202 response status code. Checking the activity log for the VM confirms that the power off and the run command operations have completed successfully. Notice how incredibly easy it was to create and run those examples with the help of Ensemble. These are certainly powerful use cases that demonstrate the risks of not knowing the apps you are loading. But with Ensemble, you don't need to take that risk. It takes seconds to load any published Azure application into Ensemble's designer, and you can easily find out whether there are risks associated with loading the offer from the Azure portal or not. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you found it helpful. If you did, please click on the like button. Don't forget to check out Ensemble at stratason.com/ensemble. I'll see you again in another module of this series. Bye for now.